Hello, my name is Dwight Hutchison, and I'm the author of several books and articles about the Star of Bethlehem. And today we're going to look at an aspect of the story of the star, which is fairly unique. For me, it was quite unexpected to find this, and it has to do with Daniel chapter 9 and a specific prophecy about the coming of the Messiah. So this text from Daniel 9 is quite well known in Christian circles as being something that concerns the Messiah of Israel. And it is pretty unique because it contains a number of, it contains some passages with numbers, and it seems to indicate the time of the Messiah's arrival, and also his death. And so it's a very curious passage, and we'll read some of it here in the next few moments. But I actually avoided this text for about a year and a half as I did research on the Star of Bethlehem. I did not even want to get close to this text, although it's quite messianic, because one can easily kind of get swallowed up in it. And that has been the experience of many Christians in the past, to try to understand the passage and just find oneself completely kind of overawed and drawn into mystery, and I hope that will not happen to you as you're watching this video. But the text is pretty strange, and yet there seems to be an answer or several answers concerning this text that are linked with the heavens, because the numbers in the text are linked with the heavens. So I'll read to you a portion of the text. This was part of a vision given to Daniel, and he had an angel that came and spoke to him when he was in Babylonia toward the end of his life. And the angel spoke out several things that are very specific about the coming of the Jewish Messiah. And so here's part of the text. I'll read from Daniel 9:23 to 25, and the text continues after that as well. But for these coming moments, we'll just look at this passage. It says, "At the beginning of your pleas, the command was issued, and I have come to tell you because you are highly esteemed. So pay attention to the message and gain understanding of the vision." And here it is, Gabriel, actually the angel, has come to speak to Daniel, because Daniel has been praying, and the angel has come to give him insight. And he says that 70 weeks have been decreed for your people and your holy city to finish the wrongdoing, the transgression, to make an end of sin, to make an atonement for guilt, and in some versions it says for iniquity, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place, and some versions translated as the most holy one. And then he goes on and he says, you are to know and discern that from the issuing of a decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, there will be 7 sevens and 62 sevens. And it will be built again with plaza and moat, even in times of distress. And so that's a passage which does seem to indicate that the Messiah will appear after this period of 7 sevens and 62 sevens. And he goes on to indicate as well that the holy city will be rebuilt, etc., etc. You have to remember that Daniel was in Babylonia and that the city of Jerusalem had been destroyed many years before, and that he was there just about the moment when the decree was going to be issued that the city would be rebuilt. And so he has this word from God through an angel, and here we're reading this text because he wrote it down. Now, typically, when people read this passage, they, or at least many Christians have been led to believe that the text refers to a period of years. And so there's 7 sevens and 62 sevens. So 7 sevens is 49 years. And then 62 sevens is 434 years. And in recent times, a number of people have thought that this had something to do perhaps with the sabbatical years, sabbatical years of Israel. And it may be linked to that, indeed, yeah. But I discovered something which was completely unexpected, and we'll come back to the thing of the years later. But I discovered something that was completely unexpected, to me at least, and it concerns the star and its relationship to this text. I noticed something several years ago when I was looking at the heavens according to the astronomy program, or several astronomy programs in fact, and I noticed that there was a conjunction of the moon on the 49th day of what the Jews call the counting of the Omer in 3 BC. Now, the counting of the Omer takes place from the time of Passover, the 16th day of the month of Nisan. From that date, the Jews count 7 weeks. And so 49 days, and then the day after that, the 50th day, is the day of Pentecost. And so if you want to understand how that the Jewish festivals take place, the festival of Passover takes place on the 14th day of Nisan. There is the full moon at that point, and the Passover lamb is sacrificed, and the people eat a meal at that point, and it has to do with this 14th day of Nisan, and that's called the Passover. And then there's a period of a week after that as well, which is the whole Passover festival. Okay, and but on the 16th day of that month, they begin counting for the next major Jewish festival, which is Pentecost. And so that is 7 weeks after the 16th day of the month of Nisan. The Omer has to do with the harvest as well. You know, the barley harvest was at Passover, but the wheat harvest took place in Israel at Pentecost. And so this idea of the omer is a quantity of wheat Now, I don't know all the details about all of this, but I do know that they called the period of time between Passover and Pentecost as the period of the counting of the Omer. And so on the 49th day of the counting of the Omer, in 3 BC, there was a significant conjunction of the moon with the king star Regulus. Now, when I saw this, I thought it was really quite interesting because here is something which is obviously a royal sign, and we've talked about this before, that the moon is an indicator that the throne of the Messiah will endure for generations, forever, basically. And so to find the moon right beside this king star Regulus in the Lion constellation, which is linked with the tribe of Judah, on the 49th day of the counting of the Omer, seems significant to me. But at first, I wondered if I had miscounted, and that actually it was on the 50th day, which would have been Pentecost. And the word penta is the Greek word for 5, and Pentecost refers to the 50th day. On the 50th day, you have the Pentecost festival. And I myself, I wondered, did I miscount this? Should I have been counting 50 here? And I must have counted that thing 30 times. And just did I get it right with the dates of everything, and did this fall on the 49th day? And I was actually disappointed that it fell on the 49th day. I thought, well, it would be great if it fell on Pentecost itself. And this went on for several weeks, actually, after I saw this thing. And I just was not satisfied. I thought, well, this is too bad, because it would be significant if it was on the 50th day instead of the 49th day of the counting of the Omer. And but eventually one day it dawned on me that the 49th day is actually 7 times 7. And then I thought, well, wait a minute here. Maybe this is related to Daniel 9. And I began to scratch my head, and I thought, well, okay, Daniel 9 has a separation between the 7 sevens and the 62 sevens in the prophecy. And I thought, well, what would happen if I began, or if I counted the 49 days and see the sign on the 49th day of the counting of the Omer, something that seems related to kingship and the Messiah of Israel, because the moon in Psalm 89 it is referred to as a witness that the throne of the Messiah will endure forever, basically. And so what if those 49 days are followed by Pentecost, which you just skip over, okay, and then you count 434 days after that, which would be 62 weeks, literal weeks, okay? Where would one come to in all of these things concerning the star in 3 and 2 BC? Well, as I counted things out, I saw that 434 days after Pentecost, one arrives at the heliacal setting of Jupiter. And we've talked about this in previous videos, that is the end of the cycle of Jupiter. MUL.BABBAR Sedek, as we've come to realize in our study of all of this stuff. And that was the end of the significant series of signs that were kingship-related signs related with MUL.BABBAR's Jupiter's cycle in 2 and 3 BC. And so it was kind of curious to me that specifically 434 days after Pentecost, one arrives at the heliacal setting of Jupiter in the summer of 2 BC, which we've seen is basically 1 year after the heliacal rising of Jupiter in 3 BC. And there were kingship events associated with the rising and with the setting, and with the 3 other parts of the cycle between the rising and setting. Okay, so here I am with this very curious situation, and I just had the thought. I thought, well, what would it be like if I added 7 and 62 together, because those are the periods of weeks there, okay? What if I added those numbers together from the date of Pentecost in 3 BC, and I count 7 plus 62, which is 69, like the 69 weeks of Daniel that some people speak about, okay, which is the 7 plus 62, okay. What would happen if I added those numbers together from Pentecost in 3 BC? Well, one falls at the heliacal rising of Jupiter in 3 BC. And so there are these quite odd sets of numbers that come together in a completely wild and unexpected way concerning the Star of Bethlehem, the rising of Jupiter, and the setting of Jupiter. Yeah. MUL.BABBAR, the white star, Sedek, the star of righteousness, the star speaking about the righteous king, prophesied by Jeremiah. And and this is all linked with these Jewish festivals, you see. And some of this just started to blow my mind. And I left it just like that for a period of weeks. I was amazed by what I found, but I didn't dabble in it any further. I had some other things to do, and I didn't want to be swallowed up in this Daniel 9 prophecy, as I've already indicated, and so I avoided the text for a while. And then something different happened.